The morning is not a neutral thing. It is not an empty space waiting to be filled by accident. It is a gift given by God, heavy with purpose, and you will either receive it with reverence or you will squander it with indifference. Every morning you wake up is a declaration that mercy has triumphed over judgment for another day. You were not awakened because you are strong, disciplined, or deserving. You were awakened because God is patient, and His patience is meant to lead you somewhere. The tragedy of our time is not that people are busy. It is that they are busy with everything except the one thing that gives meaning to all others. You rise from your bed, and before your feet touch the floor, a battle has already begun. Your mind is being summoned by 1,000 voices demanding your allegiance. Anxiety reminds you of yesterday's failures. Desire promises satisfaction through distraction. Fear whispers that today will be no different, that change is impossible, that discipline is too costly. But understand this. The way you meet the morning will largely determine the kind of man or woman you become by nightfall. Days do not collapse into chaos all at once. They unravel because mornings were treated lightly. Mindfulness is not a trend, and it is not a technique designed to help you tolerate a shallow life. It is the deliberate act of standing awake before God and truth, refusing to live on autopilot. To be mindful is to say, I will not drift. I will not surrender my thoughts to impulse. I will not let my emotions be my master. The unexamined morning becomes the doorway to an unexamined life, and an unexamined life is not merely unproductive, it is dangerous. Many people want empowered days, but they despise the quiet discipline that produces them. They want strength without submission, clarity without repentance, peace without truth. But empowerment is not born in noise. It is forged in stillness. The morning hours expose what you truly love, because you will always make time for what you treasure. If the first moments of your day are devoured by triviality, then do not be surprised when your life feels thin, fragile, and easily shaken. When you wake, you are not merely waking to tasks. You are waking to responsibility. You are accountable for your thoughts. You are accountable for the direction of your heart. You are accountable for what you will worship today. Because make no mistake, every human being worships. The question is not whether you will worship, but what will command your highest affection. The mindful morning forces you to confront this question before the world has a chance to answer it for you. There is something profoundly humbling about beginning the day in silence. Silence strips away the illusion of control. It reveals how restless you are, how quickly your mind runs to escape stillness. And that is precisely why it is necessary. A man or woman who cannot sit quietly for a few moments in the morning will be ruled by impulses for the rest of the day. Discipline does not begin with dramatic acts of courage. It begins with the quiet decision to remain present when every part of you wants to flee. Empowered days are not the result of emotional highs. They are the fruit of steady obedience. You do not need to feel strong to act faithfully. You do not need to feel inspired to be disciplined. Feelings are terrible masters and unreliable guides. The mindful morning teaches you to act according to truth rather than emotion. It reminds you that your worth is not measured by productivity, but your productivity is shaped by your obedience. Consider how easily the mind is fragmented. One moment you are thinking about the future, the next moment replaying the past, and rarely are you fully present in the now. This constant scattering of attention weakens the soul. A divided mind produces a divided life. The morning is the opportunity to gather the fragments, to bring every thought into alignment with what is good, true, and eternal. This is not mystical, it is practical. What you dwell on will determine how you speak, how you respond, how you endure pressure. The empowered day begins when you refuse to be a slave to urgency. The world will always tell you that everything is immediate, that everything is critical, that everything deserves your attention. But wisdom teaches you to discern. Not every demand is a calling. Not every opportunity is an assignment. The mindful morning is where you learn to distinguish between the urgent and the important, between what shouts the loudest and what matters the most. There is a great lie that says strength comes from self-confidence. True strength comes from humility. It comes from acknowledging, early in the day, that you are dependent, limited, and in need of guidance. Pride rushes into the day, assuming it can manage on its own. Humility pauses, listens, and seeks direction, and it is humility, not pride, that sustains a person through long seasons of faithfulness. You want empowered days, but empowerment does not mean the absence of difficulty. It means the presence of purpose. A disciplined morning will not remove hardship, but it will anchor you when hardship comes. It will remind you why you endure, why you labor, why you refuse to compromise. Without that anchor, even small obstacles can derail you, because you have forgotten what you are living for. Many people are exhausted not because they do too much, but because they do too little of what truly matters. Their energy is spent on reacting rather than responding, on consuming rather than creating, on surviving rather than living with intention. The mindful morning reorders your energy. It teaches you to invest first in what nourishes the soul, so that the rest of the day is not a constant attempt to compensate for inner emptiness. You cannot separate the state of your inner life from the quality of your outer life. If your thoughts are undisciplined, your actions will be inconsistent. If your heart is divided, your efforts will be scattered. The morning is where alignment begins. It is where you remind yourself of what is true when the world is eager to sell you lies. It is where you decide again and again to walk in the light rather than drift into convenience. Do not underestimate the power of small, faithful habits. Grand resolutions often fail because they are not supported by daily discipline. The mindful morning is not about doing many things. It is about doing a few essential things well. It is about establishing a rhythm that shapes your character over time. Character is not formed in moments of crisis. It is revealed there. It is formed in the quiet consistency of daily choices. An empowered day is not one where everything goes according to plan. It is one where you remain steadfast when plans fall apart. That steadfastness is cultivated when you begin the day grounded in truth rather than expectation. When your hope is anchored in something unchanging, circumstances lose their power to define you. You become resilient, not because you are hard, but because you are rooted. The morning also confronts you with the reality of time. You are not promised unlimited days. Each sunrise is a reminder that your life is moving in one direction, and you do not get to pause it. This awareness is not meant to produce fear, but urgency, not frantic urgency, but sober urgency. The kind that asks, how should I live today in light of what truly matters? Mindfulness is often misunderstood as mere awareness of breath or sensation. But true mindfulness involves moral clarity. It involves examining not only what you feel, but why you feel it, and whether those feelings align with truth. It means refusing to be led by unchecked desires. It means acknowledging weakness without making peace with it. The mindful morning is a time of honest assessment, where excuses lose their power. You cannot empower your days if you avoid self-examination. Avoidance may provide temporary comfort, but it will never produce growth. The morning gives you space to confront patterns, to confess failures, to realign your priorities. This is not self-condemnation. It is self-awareness. And self-awareness, when paired with humility, becomes a catalyst for transformation. There is also a profound connection between gratitude and empowerment. A heart that begins the day thankful is less likely to be controlled by bitterness or entitlement. Gratitude does not deny pain, it places pain in perspective. It reminds you that even in difficulty, there is grace sustaining you. This perspective changes how you face challenges. You no longer see them as interruptions, but as opportunities to practice faithfulness. Many live as though the day owes them something. When expectations are not met, frustration takes over, but the mindful morning teaches you to approach the day as a steward, not a consumer. You are entrusted with time, energy, and influence. How you use them matters. Empowerment flows from responsibility embraced, not comfort pursued. You must also understand that discipline is an act of love. You discipline yourself not because you despise who you are, but because you value who you are becoming. The morning routines you establish are not chains, they are guardrails. They protect you from drifting into patterns that erode your integrity. Freedom is not the absence of structure, it is the presence of the right structure. An empowered day is marked by intentional speech. Words spoken without thought can undo hours of labor. The mindful morning prepares you to speak with wisdom by first teaching you to listen, listening to truth, listening to conscience, listening to what is beyond your own immediate desires. When your words are shaped by reflection, they carry weight and clarity. There is also the matter of endurance. Many begin well but falter because they rely on motivation rather than conviction. Motivation rises and falls. Conviction sustains. The morning is where conviction is reinforced. It is where you remind yourself not only of what you want, but of what you must do, regardless of how you feel. You will face temptation every day. That is not a sign of failure. It is a reality of being human. But the way you prepare in the morning will influence how you respond when temptation comes. A mind already aligned with truth is less vulnerable to deception. A heart already humbled is less easily seduced by pride. Preparation does not guarantee victory, but neglect almost guarantees defeat. Empowered days are also days of service. A self-centered morning produces a self-centered life. When you begin the day considering how you can honor what is right and serve others, your perspective shifts. You are less consumed by minor inconveniences and more attentive to meaningful opportunities. Purpose expands when it moves beyond the self. The mindful morning teaches you patience. Growth takes time. Change is often slow and uneven. Impatience leads many to abandon good habits because results are not immediate. But faithfulness is not measured by speed. It is measured by consistency. Each morning you show up, even when you feel nothing. You are building something that will outlast temporary emotion. You must also learn to guard your mind. What you allow into your thoughts early in the day often sets the tone for everything that follows. If your first intake is chaos, comparison, or outrage, do not be surprised when peace is absent. Choose carefully what you consume. Attention is a finite resource, and where you direct it reveals what you value. An empowered day is not loud about its strength. It is quiet, steady, and resolute. It does not need constant affirmation. It draws confidence from alignment with truth rather than approval from others. This kind of strength is cultivated when you begin the day anchored, not reactive. The morning is also a reminder that you are not self-sustaining. You did not give yourself breath. You did not design your own conscience. You are dependent, and that dependency is not a weakness, it is reality. When you acknowledge it, you are freed from the exhausting illusion that everything depends on you. There will be mornings when discipline feels heavy, when stillness feels empty, when effort feels wasted. These are the mornings that matter most. Faithfulness in dryness is more revealing than enthusiasm in abundance. Do not measure the value of the morning by how you feel when you finish, but by the fact that you showed up and acted in obedience. Empowered days are not accidental. They are the result of deliberate choices repeated over time. The mindful morning is where those choices begin. It is where you decide whether you will live intentionally or drift passively. It is where you either set your mind or allow it to be set by forces that do not have your good in mind. You may not see immediate transformation, but do not be deceived. Seeds are being planted. Roots are growing beneath the surface. The strength you build in the morning will reveal itself in moments of pressure, in seasons of trial, in decisions that define your character. What is formed in private will sustain you in public. As you step into the day, carry with you the awareness that your life is meaningful, your choices matter, and your time is entrusted to you for a reason greater than comfort. Let the morning shape you before the world tries to reshape you. And let the quiet discipline of mindful beginnings produce days marked by clarity, courage, and unwavering resolve, grounded in truth that does not bend, strength that does not boast, and purpose that does not fade. The way you begin your morning determines the direction and strength of your entire day, because the morning is the doorway through which your mind steps into the world. You do not enter the day as a blank slate. You enter carrying thoughts, habits, fears, desires, and assumptions that have been quietly shaping you over time. The morning is the first moment when those inner realities either take command or are brought into order. What you allow to rule your first moments will almost always rule the rest of your hours. When you wake up, your mind is most impressionable. It has not yet been fully hardened by the demands, frustrations, and noise of the day. This is why mornings are so powerful and also so dangerous. If you begin the day rushed, distracted, and reactive, you are training your mind to live in a constant state of urgency. You are teaching yourself that pressure is normal, that reflection is optional, and that your life is something that happens to you rather than something you steward. Over time, this forms a weak inner posture, even if outwardly you appear productive. Strength is not first seen in what you accomplish, but in how you govern yourself. The morning reveals whether you are governed by impulse or by intention. Many people wake up already defeated because they allow their first thoughts to be dominated by yesterday's failures or today's fears. They replay conversations, rehearse anxieties, and imagine worst case scenarios before they have even stood up. By the time they begin their tasks, their energy is already drained, their confidence already shaken. The day feels heavy not because it is, but because it was entered without direction. Direction is not found by accident. It is established by deliberate focus. The morning gives you the chance to decide what will matter today before the world decides for you. Without this decision, you will be pulled in 100 directions, responding to whatever is loudest or most urgent. This kind of living creates motion without progress. You may move constantly, yet feel as though you are going nowhere. The reason is simple. Movement without direction always leads to exhaustion. The strength of your day is directly tied to the order of your inner life. Disorder within will always produce instability without. When the mind is scattered, the will becomes weak. You hesitate, overthink, react emotionally, and struggle to follow through. A grounded morning brings order. It gathers your thoughts, steadies your emotions, and reminds you of what is true before lies gain traction. This is not about achieving a perfect emotional state. It is about refusing to let chaos take the lead. Many people believe strength comes from intensity, from pushing harder, waking earlier, doing more. But intensity without alignment only accelerates burnout. True strength is sustainable. It allows you to endure pressure without losing clarity. That kind of strength is cultivated in the morning through calm resolve, not frantic effort. When you begin the day centered, you are less likely to be thrown off balance by unexpected challenges. You do not panic as easily because you are not already internally rushed. The morning is also where discipline either grows or erodes. Discipline is not built in moments of crisis. It is built in small, repeated decisions when no one is watching. Choosing how you wake up, what you think about first, and how you set your focus trains your ability to lead yourself. Every time you choose intention over impulse in the morning, you strengthen the part of you that can resist temptation and persist through difficulty later in the day. Without a strong morning, your day becomes reactive. You wait for circumstances to tell you how to feel, what to do, and who to be. When things go well, you feel confident. When things go poorly, you feel defeated. This instability is exhausting because it places your emotional state at the mercy of external events. A deliberate morning gives you an internal reference point. You carry a sense of direction that does not disappear when plans change. The morning is when you decide what kind of person you will be under pressure. You do not suddenly become patient, focused, or disciplined in the middle of a stressful moment. You become those things because you prepared your mind earlier to value them. If you rush through the morning without reflection, you should not be surprised when impatience dominates your interactions or when small obstacles feel overwhelming. Strength also involves clarity of purpose. Many people feel tired because they are disconnected from why they are doing what they do. They move from task to task without meaning, and meaninglessness drains energy faster than hard work ever could. The morning is your opportunity to reconnect with purpose, to remind yourself why your efforts matter, why integrity matters, why perseverance matters. Purpose transforms effort from a burden into a responsibility willingly carried. The direction of your day is shaped by what you prioritize first. If the first thing you give your attention to is distraction, comparison, or noise, you are training your mind to crave stimulation rather than depth. This weakens your ability to concentrate and makes sustained effort feel unbearable. A focused morning strengthens attention. It teaches your mind to stay with what matters instead of constantly seeking escape. Your morning also sets the emotional tone of your day. Emotions are powerful, but they are poor leaders. When emotions are not acknowledged and ordered early, they often erupt later in unhealthy ways. Frustration builds quietly and then spills out in sharp words or impulsive decisions. Taking time in the morning to become aware of your emotional state allows you to respond wisely instead of reacting blindly. The strength of your day is not measured by how easy it feels, but by how faithfully you act when it feels difficult. Faithfulness is a habit, and habits are shaped by routines. The morning routine is the backbone of consistency. When your mornings are erratic, your days will reflect that instability. When your mornings are grounded, your days gain a steady rhythm that supports endurance. There is also a moral dimension to how you begin your day. When you wake without reflection, it is easy to compromise later because you have not reminded yourself of your values. Decisions made in haste often contradict convictions held in calm moments. The morning is where convictions are reinforced. It is where you remind yourself who you are and who you refuse to become, regardless of convenience or pressure. The direction of your day is also influenced by how you view time. If you see time as something chasing you, you will live defensively, always trying to catch up. This mindset produces anxiety and haste. When you begin the morning with intention, you reclaim a sense of stewardship over time. You recognize that while you cannot control everything, you can choose how you will engage what is given to you. Strength grows when you stop beginning the day in self-neglect. Ignoring your inner life does not make you stronger. It makes you brittle. A brittle person may appear functional, but they break easily under stress. A strong person has taken time to build resilience through self-awareness, discipline, and clarity. The morning is the primary place where this resilience is formed. When you start the day intentionally, your decisions become cleaner. You are less likely to overcommit, less likely to be swayed by pressure, less likely to abandon what matters for what is easy. You have already set boundaries in your mind. You have already decided what deserves your energy. This reduces regret because regret often comes from decisions made without thought. The morning also influences how you treat others. A person who begins the day hurried and distracted often carries that tension into conversations. They listen poorly, respond sharply, and lack patience. A centered morning softens your interactions. You are more present, more attentive, and more capable of empathy because you are not internally frantic. Direction requires vision, and vision fades when the mind is constantly consumed by immediate demands. The morning allows you to lift your eyes beyond the next task and remember the broader picture of your life. Without this perspective, you may achieve short-term goals while drifting away from long-term integrity. Strength is not only the ability to push forward, but the wisdom to know where you are going. Many underestimate how much power they give away by neglecting their mornings. They assume the day will simply unfold as it will, not realizing that passivity is itself a choice. When you do not choose the direction of your day, someone or something else will choose it for you. This often leads to a life shaped by reaction rather than conviction. The way you begin your morning trains your response to adversity. If you begin grounded, adversity becomes a challenge to face. If you begin scattered, adversity feels like an attack. The situation may be the same, but your internal posture changes everything. Strength is often less about changing circumstances and more about being prepared to meet them. Consistency in the morning also builds trust in yourself. When you repeatedly show up with intention, you begin to believe that you can rely on your own discipline. This confidence is quiet but powerful. It reduces self-doubt and increases follow-through. You stop relying on mood and start relying on commitment. The direction of your day ultimately shapes the direction of your life. Days are not isolated events. They are building blocks. How you live today is training you for how you will live tomorrow. A neglected morning does not just weaken one day, it reinforces a pattern. An intentional morning does the same, slowly shaping a life marked by clarity, steadiness, and purpose. The strength you build in the morning is often invisible, but it is real. It shows up in patience when others lose theirs, in perseverance when others quit, in restraint when others act impulsively. This strength is not dramatic, but it is durable. It allows you to move through the day with a sense of direction that does not collapse under pressure, a steadiness that does not depend on external validation, and a resolve that continues even when enthusiasm fades